Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And in this case, we're talking about the Community Resource Center. We're honored to be joined by Tina Doniger. She's the Executive Director, and Megan McGuire, Director of Partnerships and Events. How are you two doing?
We're great. Yeah. Great. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So we get to talk a lot about essential needs and goods and filling needs. And so let's go ahead and start with some history and context. Tina, let's start with you. Give us some background for the organization.
Yeah, so the Community Resource Center has been filling the needs of nonprofits and communities in Nashville and Middle Tennessee for about 40 years. We have been there through floods and tornadoes, the pandemic, you name it, really geared towards finding community resources that either need to get into hands of other individuals or, just find homes for things. And really in the last couple of years, we have really honed in on our mission and really found a niche in filling the basic necessities needs that our communities are facing with a lack of access to period supplies, shampoo, soap, toothbrushes, toothpaste, those items. And so we're glad to be here to be able to talk about just what hygiene poverty looks like in Middle Tennessee and how the CRC is really battling that every day.
Let's go ahead and dive into the programs, and then we'll definitely touch on the importance of what you do. So you kind of, laid out a little bit of the groundwork, but go ahead and dive in a little deeper on the different programs.
So a lot of people are really shocked when they find out that the CRC is a team of 3 full-time employees, particularly when you think about that we're serving 7 counties and really sort of singularly leading this charge against hygiene insecurity as one nonprofit. And so because of the size of our team, it's really not feasible to do direct service, particularly when you're talking about 300,000 people who need these items in our community. So we work very intentionally in partnerships with nonprofits and schools and faith communities who are on the front lines, having the relationships with those clients, with our neighbors. And so in terms of programs, again, we partner specifically with those entities, 501c3s, schools, people that we know already have sort of the capacity for a basic needs program, closet, et cetera. And so they apply to be a partner with the CRC. It is completely free. We do not charge any program fees. And then once they're vetted through that application process, they can receive product from us in a variety of ways. Probably what a lot of our partners are using is our Basics in Bulk program. So every single month, that network of partners can request bulk hygiene support. You tell us if you need 100 toothbrushes, 200 bottles of shampoo, we're going to pack to order, and then you get to do that 12 months out of the year. We also work across all of our partners to do sort of an individual or household hygiene order. So if you don't need 100 toothbrushes, but you've got 5 or 6 households on your caseload that really need support, you tell us about them. We're going to, again, pack very specifically who's in that home. And then one of our newest programs, which we're really excited about, is our hygiene pantry program. So very similar in model and concept to food pantries, we are putting hygiene pantries in public accessible spaces so that if your household needs hygiene support, you can walk into a school, you can walk into a community-based resource center and get the support you need, and not only receive those products, but have a true shopping experience where you can choose what brand, what scent, what quantity of items that are really going to meet the need for you and your family.
How do you all source the products?
Yeah, so we source in a couple of different ways. Certainly our dignity drives that communities and groups and corporations host are kind of our bread and butter. So imagine, we can do something where if you're coming into work every day and you want to have that dignity barrel in your lobby or in the floor of right outside of your elevators or whatever the case might be, We can give you a list of the products that we most desperately need, and then invite people to drop those off as they come into work or leave work. We can also do a variety between like a hybrid or completely virtual. There's always an Amazon wish list opportunity. And so between our corporations that do those items, or communities, or, book clubs, or we've had Girl Scouts, we've had bar mitzvahs, you name it, they've done a kind of a variety. We also buy a lot through liquidation and wholesaling. So we have a variety of partners that are always sourcing, the 12-ounce bottle of shampoo that fits in our Hero Hygiene kit, or we're looking specifically for, fleece blankets under 70 cents, or whatever the case might be. We've got partners that are looking for that. And so between those donations, those items that we need to purchase, and then ultimately we have great partners that are always calling and saying, hey, the dye lot on a label is wrong. Can you take 50 pallets of Lysol wipes? And so we've got a variety of products that are always coming in. We just took a phone call from Kroger the other day about hand sanitizer. So you name it, it's coming to us. And then we kind of vet it through what our funnel around donations and our matrix around donations. Is it something that we can move quickly? Is it one of our top 10 priority products? If it's not a priority product, is it still in that SKU? We tend to say that diapers and wipes in our baby section are like premium. But if someone were to call us and say, we have 7 pallets of bottles, would you take those? Yes, because every one of our partners that is needing diapers and wipes, they're going to need those bottles also. And so we just make sure that the items that we're taking serve our communities and serve them well. We have a variety of choice. So you're never going to see just Suave deodorant available. We're going to have Suave, and we're going to have Secret, and we're going to have Spray On, and whatever that is. And so we really look to make sure that we have a diverse product line in every one of the products that we source.
You mentioned small and mighty team of 3, but yet when you talk about being able to handle 7 pallets, a lot of volunteers are probably needed, and also warehousing. And so talk about some of the infrastructure on your end.
It's a crazy situation. We have a couple, buildings that we utilize. We have a building that's kind of our main outpost in our office. That's what you're seeing behind us. It's kind of tucked away in a very nondescript, commercial area outside of downtown. And so it's a great location, easy for our partners to get access to, and also for our volunteers. We have over 3,000 volunteers that come annually. And that is through, like right now we have a high school group that just walked in. So that was the noise before we started. And so their day of service is today, and they're giving us a couple of hours of work. We have a lot of corporate groups. We're kind of on the corporate volunteer sector, if you will. Everyone wants to be here, which we're thankful for. During COVID, we had about a 95% acceptance rate in volunteers and show up rate. So we never really failed at that, where there's a lot of organizations that just said, how do we continue to keep volunteers? And we just kept saying, you're our bread and butter. Like, if we don't have volunteers, we're not packaging things, we're not getting them out to the community that desperately needs them. We all have learned, well, Megan still needs to learn, but we've all learned how to drive a forklift. We've got vehicles that we all have learned to drive. We've just had to learn and adapt skills based on the growth of the needs of our community. And so that's, we used to really be kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I really feel like, though we have a very small team, we really master that basic necessity and hygiene, and do it really, really well, to where we're constantly procuring, we're utilizing our volunteer resources to repackage in a useful way for our partners and the communities that they serve and we serve, and then distributing it right back out to get it right out to the people that need it the most.
Let's talk about the need and paint the picture when you look at the need, and I would imagine ever growing need, and also too with the pandemic, the impact there. Talk about what the need looks like.
So we use the term hygiene and security quite a bit here at the CRC, and most of us might be familiar with the concept food insecurity, but hygiene insecurity is something that's really not talked about when we're thinking about basic needs. But we make the argument every day here at the CRC that on top of food, clothing, shelter, you've got to have those hygiene products because they're really essential to health, both at the individual and community level, but also that human dignity piece that is so sort of inherent in the feeling and the knowing of being clean and walking into whatever space that you've got to be in that day, whether it's school, if you're a student, or your job, if you're an adult. And so to your point, much like food insecurity, the need for hygiene is rampant. The best statistics that we have available to us is that anywhere from 1 to 4 to 1 to 5 of our neighbors in Middle Tennessee are experiencing hygiene insecurity, which means that they are struggling to access or afford those basic hygiene products. And so in our 7-county coverage area, which is Davidson and everything that touches it, that's about 300 to 350,000 people every single day. And what's frustrating and sort of what drives hygiene insecurity, and this is a differentiator between hygiene and food insecurity, is that nothing in the hygiene category is covered or provided by government assistance. So what we used to call food stamps, which we now call SNAP, not covered. So even if my household qualifies financially for WIC, for SNAP, I still can't buy diapers for my child, laundry detergent, period products, shampoo, and soap. And so in some ways, hygiene insecurity is more broad and vast than we even know because it's really based on your ability to pay full price. And as with everything at the grocery store, full price just keeps ticking up. We've seen about a 7 to 10% increase in the cost of every single item in the category that we provide. So we are just really trying to combat that every single day and removing those financial barriers. If you're not conveniently located to a grocery store, you're paying 3 times the cost at a gas station for a bottle of shampoo. So we're really trying to get creative in removing those barriers to basic hygiene and then ultimately ending hygiene insecurity in our community.
So how can the community help your efforts? We talked about the volunteerism aspect, but talk about the different ways we can help.
Yeah, volunteering is huge, as Tina mentioned. We just wouldn't function without our volunteers. And so we certainly welcome individuals and families and groups into our warehouse. We can accommodate groups up to about 15 to 20 people at a time. If you're willing to put together a volunteer opportunity at your workplace so that you don't have to leave, we can bring a volunteer project to you. Also, Tina mentioned our dignity drives. Running a hygiene drive is huge for us because I think it brings not only supplies, but awareness to what we're doing. When I'm at the grocery store, I don't think twice about the laundry detergent that I'm putting in other than if I like the smell of it. And so to stop and think when you're buying those items, this is really unaffordable for a lot of people, is very powerful. And then, of course, financial support. We do not receive state or federal funding because that hygiene category is new in the basic needs space. So it really is the power of local dollars, of people who are raising their hand and saying, here's $10 because I deserve shampoo and so does the neighbor right next to me.
Give me one more thing that you wish everyone knew about the Community Resource Center.
That's a great question.
That's such a good question. I think for me, and Tina, I'll buy you some time, nonprofits often don't always stand up and take credit for the work that they are doing. And what I love so much about the CRC is that everything we do is so deeply embedded in partnership. We very much believe that the way that you end social conditions is working strategically and collaboratively in partnership as a sector. And so that's what we do every day. Rather than trying to do it all as a team of 3, we drive what we do best and partner with those who do other things incredibly well. And that's where sort of the magic happens in this sector. So I think for me, the power of the CRC is very much the power of partnership and what partnership can do in our community.
I think what I will say is for 40 years, for 37 of that, we've been one of the best kept secrets in the city. That often the partners that we were working with didn't want to share where they were getting support from because someone else may come before them and get those items that they hoped that they would get. And so I think we showed up really well and supported our community in the disaster of the 2020 tornado, and certainly in an unforeseen pandemic that we didn't know as a city how to, handle that. And we showed up and showed out and kept our doors open and just kept pouring product into the community that couldn't either get access to it or afford it at that moment. And so I think the thing about the CRC is that we just continue to show up and love our neighbors. And that looks different for our school families, to our nonprofits, to our faith-based. Like every little bit of it is really so much around what specifically their needs are. And it is not, one solution for everyone. It is really about sitting around our table here and really discussing what is best for our senior community, what is best for our Afghan neighbors, what is best for, you fill in the blank of what that community looks like. And we really do take to heart what we're putting out there and putting the stamp of the CRC on, and saying that there's dignity in these items, there's dignity in how they are delivered, there's dignity in the ability to choose the kind of items that you want. And that ultimately we feel like as erasing the barriers to personal hygiene in Middle Tennessee is a way that we can begin to have change in our communities. And I'm really proud of the work that our team does. I'm really proud of, the board that we have behind us and the things that they push us to strive for every day. And I'm just really thankful for, what we've been able to do, but I'm very excited about what we continue to do every day and what we will do.
Nice. Go ahead and wrap up with website, social media. Where would you direct us to go to learn more and get involved?
Yeah, we try to make it pretty darn easy for you. CRC MIDTN is everything from web to socials. So most up to date is probably living in our Instagram. You're going to get a good idea of what volunteering is like in the warehouse. You're going to get a good idea of the kinds of products and programs that we have. And then certainly our website has everything from how to volunteer, how to donate, a link to our Dignity drive and wish list on Amazon, and then certainly how to get involved. So always send us an email and reach out, because one of the three of us will answer and get back to you pretty darn quickly and come up with a way that you can help out the CRC and the community around us.
The website again is CRC MidTN, so crcmidtn.org. Tina, Megan, thank you for all you do. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us, Jeremy.